Yeah, right. Let's jump into our first matchup here, friend. You were talking about wolves, and we're going to see quite a few of them because Samson is rocking some good old Jund Wolfies up against Is It Turns in the hands of Eugene. So let's jump in here, take a look, squee, and see what it is that we are up here, or what we're in for here, I should say. Both players, pretty decent looking opening hands. 3 Kessig Naturalists. Wow, you want to go fast? That's a great way to do so. What do you think of these?
Yeah, I love Kessig Naturalist, mostly because it was my preview card, so I'm very, very biased. But I still just think it's a great card that's being really undervalued. It kind of does the same thing that, like, Lotus Cobra does. Of course, you do have to attack with it, which sometimes can get pretty awkward. But being able to go Kessig Naturalist into Azika's Chariot, or even in this hand, like being able to attack, play Ranger class, and Kessig Naturalist next turn, plenty fine, and they just improve the more copies you have. By pumping them when it comes to night.
Yeah, because it's a little lord once he's flipped over, so, you know, it's a great way to get things rolling here pretty darn quickly. And this Cathartic Pyre is considering whether or not it wants to murder this poor little pooch. But the turn is going to pass back to Eugene, who draws a mountain. And he's got that Auron's Epiphany he can send off into the Foretell Zone, but decides, nope, it's time to make way on this board, get rid of one of those naturalists, but unfortunately for Eugene, he's going to have to deal with quite a few more of these naturalists.
Yeah, I think you have to kill that naturalist. Even a little surprised to not see it killed at end step there. But the one thing that Eugene didn't want to have happen is just attack and have that Azika's Chariot come down. So a nice use of the Cathartic Pyre there.
Yeah. Here comes Graveyard Trespasser. This is a very, very good graveyard hate card. Now we have seen with the introduction of Midnight Hunt, very many cards that like to hang out in graveyards and come back. Memory Deluge being one of them in Eugene's hand there. So when it attacks, it will be able to target those cards. But let's see how long it sticks around here for. Expressive Iteration is going to go digging through the library. It's going to find a Battle of Frost and Fire to hand. And if we're lucky, there's a land as well for Eugene, just to get all the value off of that. Auron's Epiphany, not going to be foretold. Holding up that negate just in case of Ranger class, one of the stack's favorite cards to play.
Yeah, Ranger class, Azika's Chariot, having those on lockdown, and I imagine we're going to see one of these negates here, or maybe we just don't care about it, and we just go with Battle of Frost and Fire and just kind of clean up everything. We'll see what Eugene chooses here.
It's very difficult, though, once Ranger Class resolves to deal with it, though, isn't it? It's not like Azika's Chariot, where it becomes a creature, you have an opportunity to kill it. Ranger Class just sits there, and unless you have enchantment removal, you can have a bit of a bad time.
Yeah, I agree. Like, having that on the battlefield changes how you have to play as the control deck. Now, this Is It Turns deck does go, like, really far over the top. So usually it's not this draw go trying to win with just Goldspan Dragons or something like that. You can just close out the game before that final level on Ranger class gets absurd. But look at that top deck. That was a nice one here.
That's beautiful. Battle of Frost and Fire. Sure, you killed a bunch of my creatures, but here come 3 more, essentially, with Azika's Chariot. You know, Eugene is tapped out. This is the perfect opportunity to do it, but, you know, is Samson concerned about another board wipe, perhaps? At this rate, you gotta just jam stuff and try and kill him before he gets to the point where he's taking 3 turns in a row.
Yep, totally agree. And I would have liked to see Sam play that layer instead of that untap land. I think it was kind of, I just want to jam this land, but has no use for that 5th mana. So could have made it so next turn. And this actually could come back, because now next turn, you could level to level 3 as well as play something else. So maybe a minor misstep there.
Yeah. Sometimes you forget about these man lands. You know, they're great if you have them in your opening hand because they, you know, they come in untapped. But later on, just got to be a little bit more mindful about your sequencing and how your lands do come down. But I feel like we're going to see a lot of not much going on from Eugene's side, at least on his turn. As he passes the turn back, it turns into night. And so what shenanigans are afoot here?
So now these Kessig Naturalists come into play flipped. So they are Werewolf Lords. Not that relevant right now. But you could play 2 of them, combine them to make 4/4s, but that Battle of Frost and Fire can still do some nice work to those creatures.
I think I like this approach here from Samson, you know, valuing Azika's Chariot. It's fine. It's protected when it's not attacking. And with level 2 on Ranger class being active, these kitty cats are going in for 5 points of damage. So yeah, just keep jamming. Don't commit everything to the board, knowing that Frost and Fire is a very real threat.
Yeah, absolutely. And just this deck has so much removal and disruption. Well, because it's literally all disruption and removal and stuff like that. But it gets to play this really interesting game where you have Divide by Zero, where you can learn and you can get all your win cons that are actually just in your sideboard. You don't have to play them in the main. The only win con, in air quotes, is just Alrund's Epiphany in the main. And that doesn't really win. It just kind of sets up for future turns. But I really like how these decks are designed. The true control deck of the formats.
And another spicy...
I know you love it, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know you love
absolutely.
control decks.
I love it when my opponent takes 4 turns in a row and I can do nothing about it. It's great.
I'm sensing some sarcasm, Alien.
Oh,
sensing
did
just
you?
a little bit of it.
Good,
Yeah.
I did it right then. One of the spicy additions from Midnight Hunt is this Galvanic Iteration, which allows you to basically copy a instant or sorcery next one you're playing. So, you know, in essence, you can take 8 extra turns, you know, in total.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great for this deck. As we're going to see Battle of Frost and Fire come down once again and murder the entire board. How dare they?
6, 7, 8. So actually, if we do foretell this Alrund's Epiphany, next turn we could go Iteration and Alrund's to kind of just really get it going. Set yourself up with 2 turns. Yes, I love that play. You're leaving yourself open with Negate, but you know what? The main card you want to negate is already on the battlefield. You got a Seeker's Chariot and Ranger class, so a second copy of either one of them is not that big of a deal. And now Eugene is just going to have a ridiculous turn next turn.
Yeah. It's gonna be pretty rough here. You know, there is the option to just start smacking with Lair of the Hydra while the shields are down for Eugene. Looks like we're gonna do that irrespective here and just get a little itty bitty chipping in here for some points of damage.
Yeah, probably just crewing that chariot and getting an attack for 5 in, which is great, you know, putting your opponent down to 6 and having a bunch of tricky, lethal attackers next turn. But you know what? Next turn is not coming back to Sam. So there's going to be quite a few turns taken by Eugene here. I mean, already like 4 in a row just with what he has in hand.
Samson's just going to be hanging out, you know, maybe knitting a sweater, writing a novel. Whatever you do when you don't get a turn.
My favorite is there was a SCG tournament where a Storm player would always bring a coloring book for his opponent every time he started like comboing off. You're just like, here you go, in case you're bored.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's classic. Yeah. Oh yeah, with Hall of the Storm Giants, that just ends immediately. Wow, that looked impressive to me.
Who needs creatures? I mean, we could just play a bunch of birds and hit you with a giant land. That seems good.
That does seem good. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. And yeah, you see the environmental sciences and the mascot exhibitions as the only real learn targets, but that's enough. It's early on. You either just get to bounce something to kind of slow your opponent down, get an environmental sciences, get a land, be able to interact again, or just late game, you just get your very powerful mascot exhibition and just make a bunch of creatures and kind of try to win the game like that. I think this deck is really cool.
Yeah. So if you are a fan of the creatureless decks, this is certainly one to, you know, take it for a couple twirls on the ladder, because quite a few people are playing it in this event. So this won't be the last time you see it. You're going to see them coming right round. So many turns.
Yeah, absolutely. Here. Saw it do pretty well in these metagame challenges, a decent amount of 7-0s with it. I might have to, after commentating with you, I might have to scratch the itch and go do some battling myself.
Hey now, Corey, listen here, we're professionals. No playing Magic during the broadcast, okay?
Oh, let me close Arena real quick then. Sorry, I didn't know that rule. I didn't get that email.
You didn't get that memo. It's fine.
No,
don't worry about it. All right, so a few extra little tweaks and changes here during sideboarding as we are ready to jump back in and go to game number 2. Now, from the Jund Werewolf side of things, it looked like Samson was in a pretty good spot to just go ham straight away. What is the game plan going to have to be this time around?
It's going to be similar. You want to just make sure to try to get on the battlefield as soon as possible, and then back it up with duresses now. That's the main thing that Samson has added to his deck that is going to be really helpful. If you're able to, you know, have one of these great turns where he attacked with that Azeka's Chariot for 5 and then can duress away the Battle of Frost and Fire, something like that is a key way to win these games. Yeah. And yeah, that was a really awkward hand there. It was all set up for a turn 2 Kessig Naturalist, but then didn't have black mana for duress and stuff. So that's what these 3-color mana bases are going to do sometimes. It leads to some really awkwardness.
Yeah. And these new lands that have been introduced, I know they've kind of divided the player base. I personally quite like them, because if you get them early and you have no play on turn 1, it's okay to drop it down as a tapped land. On turn 3, it comes in untap. I think it's fine, you know, with the slow lands, if you want to call them that.
Fashionably late lands, I prefer, but sure.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, I'm stealing that.
You better. But I love them. I think with the way that Standard is right now, that exact sequence is great. So if they kind of punish you when you're a Jaspera Sentinel deck, but I haven't even been really loving Jaspera Sentinel as much as I thought I would going into Standard from last season, right? Because it was just so dominant. So starting with one of these Rockfall Veils, and then playing like a layer, and then playing another one of these fashionably late lands is just a perfect sequence, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we shouldn't have jammed the Ranger class there from Samson's side of things. You know, blue deck tapped out. Cool. Let's resolve that spell.
Yeah, I guess the thought process from Samson is that it's probably going to go to night pretty often. And now we'll see if we run into this Jwari disruption. It's like seeing a slow motion train wreck here coming. If you get your 4-mana Planeswalker Jwari disruption on turn 4, it feels so bad.
Well, hopefully Samson has the sense not to run out Arlen Pax Hope and just perhaps recast the Outland Liberator, or even just lead up with the Ranger class, because Jwari Disruption won't be able to counter that.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do, is lead off with Ranger class. It's going to resolve, and then probably still jam the Outlander. You know, you could just level as well. I think, you know, in hindsight, it would be just best to just level Ranger class, but it's defensible to play both.
Don't do it! Don't do it! Oh no!
Do you have 1 mana to pay? Oh, brutal. You see the quick shift of the cards. I think that means like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh, if only you could have played that a little differently, is probably what Samson's thinking to himself.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's alright. The turn passes back. If Jwari Disruption is in hand, and we can't see that it is, it won't get either of these cards right now, but Divided by 0 is ready and waiting for Ranger class to come on down.
Oh no. Yeah, so far Samson has just made these minor decision points trying to play around certain things, and so far has just guessed wrong at all stops of this game. It's unfortunate because, you know, if Negate is in the hand for Eugene, that is a great play to not Rangers class. I really like Rangers classing on turns that they can, or playing your meaningful spells on turns when they can Memory Deluge, because then you put them to the test of, do they want to counter your really powerful spell, or do they want to cast the very powerful draw spell? You know, so as it stands, it didn't work out great, but it's still nice to play around that stuff when you can.
Yeah, and Eugene representing that he hasn't got anything in hand right now to counter any shenanigans, so this is a very good opportunity for Samson to get some stuff going on this battlefield. He will be cognizant of the fact that 6 mana is coming soon for that Elrond's Epiphany that's been foretold. Pithing Needle was the draw here. Let's see what he decides to go for.
I'm trying to think what the use is for Pithing Needle. I guess Hall of the Storm Giants. I think that's the only actual target for it, but I mean, I guess that is still probably a problem, being able to deal with that land permanently. I don't know if it's quite worth it, but we will see.
Yeah, a bit of a clunky draw right now. Expressive Iteration, on the other hand, very nice for Eugene. Able to dig a few cards deeper into the library and just set up his future turns. Let's take a look, see what it is that he finds.
That card's just incredible, too. It is. Being able to find a good Izzet deck, you get really incentivized by being able to just play probably the best 2-mana draw spell I think that we have ever seen in Magic's history. Like, this card is making huge appearances in Modern, you know, Legacy, all this stuff. When a card is that good, you best believe it is very powerful in Standard.
Oh, yes. And the great thing about Expressive Iteration is it doesn't even draw. So, you know, if there's a Narset on the battlefield, you just laugh and go, ha ha ha, it's fine. Exactly. I can still have my cards.
Exactly.
So
luckily, we don't have to deal with any Narsets here today.
Oh, yeah, thank goodness. Historic, sorry, that's your problem, but Standard, we are Narset free. Here comes Memory Deluge. Gonna take a couple look at, oh my goodness. Do you like extra turns, Corey? Could I interest you in 3 Alrund's Epiphanies, one of them currently foretold?
Yeah, how would you like to have just a ton of turns? Does that sound good? Because that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah. Seems fine. Seems fine. Now, the question is, what can Eugene follow up with? We've got 3 turns in a row coming. Needs to find some more stuff. How much damage is that, though? 3 turns in a row without a hole.
2, so what's then that? 4, then 6.
6 pigeons?
So 12 damage with just the birds. So right now, we got Samson at a virtual 5. So if there's one more Alrund's Epiphany or Galvanic... yeah, or Hull, since we didn't play Pithing Needle at any time. Or Galvanic Iteration on the top, then we're just done here already, which is just incredible. I
mean, there's also a Mind Flayer. We can just steal something this turn and then... Aha!
Yeah. I think I like just going like all runs, and then on that last turn, if anything, you Mind Flare, take a creature, and what is Samson going to be able to do to that many birds anyways? So I think we're just done here, and so far, this is a deck, if it's that good against, you know, all these standard Zika Chariot Run and 7 decks, you got to really like this deck's chances moving forward, because you got to expect that I would say 30-40% of the metagame is going to be green-red X style of decks with the Chariot. So really impressive stuff so far.
Yeah, and Eugene just asserting dominance here, finds a couple of removal spells. Not that these creatures are ever going to untap ever at this rate, but did decide to go for the Memory Deluge there, so doesn't have enough mana up for another extra turn at this rate.
Yeah, and at 17, you know, it's kind of just do whatever you'd like and still be fine now casting these spells and being able to just kill both creatures. And now leaving Samson to just hope the top of the deck is a bunch of creatures to get back into it. Feels pretty good. I think I would have personally still like just keep the all runs going, because you just win the game if you get, you know, Hall or, you know, Galvanic Iteration or another all runs.
Yeah. As much as I dislike multiple turns in a row in Magic, I agree with you there. Just keep all runs. Just keep it spinning. Like, just do stuff.
Keep it going, yeah.
You know, at a healthy 17 life total, though, and no trample in sight or any, you know, oops, I win from this Jund deck. You know, you don't really have to worry.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like Cinderclasm, something like that, I'm checking out the list right now, and we might see, there's 2 of them, but do you bring it in against this just to deal with birds? Probably not.
Well,
so I would imagine we're just pretty cold to it. I mean, you really might, but I didn't see if Samson did or not.
Oh, goodness me. It's an embarrassment of riches up there. Just look at that hand, and then look down here. We have 1 Pithing Needle and playing cards at the top of the library. Mind Flayer is going to steal this Outland Liberator and use its ability to blow up the Ranger class. That is just rude.
That was rude. 1
rude point to you, Eugene.
Yeah, gosh. Eugene must have these gaming glasses, because he saw that play very clearly.
He must
Thank
indeed.
You. I'll be here all day. I'll be here all day.
Good job. Good job. We have plenty more puns where those came from. And just a reminder, if you do want to go and grab yourself a pair of the brand new Clarity gaming glasses, you can do so at clearly.ca and use code MAGIC30 at checkout to get 30% off your first pair of frames. Go check that out. Here comes the Pithing Needle, the only thing that our dear Samson can do, as he is now facing down an army on the other side. Well, it's about to be an army with Alrund's Epiphany ×2 waiting in the wings.
And now it is a little bit more murky because these creatures are untapped, so it's not that clear I win button by just, you know, drawing another Allruns or something like that. But Eugene playing it very patiently, which is completely fine here. Just, oh, and that should do it. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I mean, right now we got Allruns plus Galvanic Iteration, and wow, that's just incredible. And oh, wow, the card just has flashback. So now we're just taking 4 turns in a row.
Yep.
This is disgusting.
Yep. Thank you. I'm glad you can agree with me on one thing, that it is indeed disgusting. Because now here comes 5 points of damage. Cool, great, swell. Mind Flayer is gonna get dead. But still, wow. This is just bad news bears, or bad news birds in this instance, as, yeah, we just got 6 pigeons floating around. And, you know, here comes, oh, gross, mascot exhibition times 2. It hurts us. It hurts us. Attack of the tokens. Here come the mascots. They are in their droves, and all this little lone wolf can do is woo himself out of here and say, no thank you, Samson, you deal with this on your own, I'm out of here.
Wow, that was incredible. What a beating from that deck. You can see how this Izzet deck already just has such incredible answers against green deck specifically when you have like Burning Hands coming in.
Yeah.
But then when you just have this where you just flip the switch and just be like, I win very easily by taking 2 turns, where normally if you just time walk once, you get that next turn and sure, you get to do something cool. But when you know you have 2 turns set up, that next turn is just pure setup, and then you evaluate the turn after if you want to Allruns again or something. I'm impressed. That looks really cool.
Well, I know what Corey's going to be playing later. I'll do my best to dissuade him from it, friends, and keep him away from the dark side. But, my friends, we're going to take a very short break. But when we come back, we're going to have more Magic from the clearly Frame Advantage featuring Magic the Gathering Arena. So, don't go anywhere.